Welcome to the SwimSwam Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Coleman Hodges, coming to you from Austin, Texas. We are joined by Yin Lee in Evanston, Illinois, and Jack Spitzer in San Diego, California. What's up, y'all? How's it going? How's your swimming week going? Has anyone swam this week?
I swam yesterday for the first time in a
funny.
few months. Yeah, it was glorious in the sun.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's some big swimming news coming our way soon, and I heard about it this morning, and it's pretty big, and people are talking about it.
What do you mean? Are you about to break news on the SwimSwam Breakdown, Yin?
I'm not breaking any news on the SwimSwam Breakdown, but you'll see for yourselves tomorrow.
Wow, tomorrow, huh? What's it related
Actually,
to?
I don't know if it's tomorrow, but Coleman, you can check the drafts in the WordPress.
Wow. All right.
I can do that too.
Stay tuned, everyone. Big swim news coming tomorrow. But until then, we've got swimming analysis for you today. We are starting with the one and only Caeleb Dressel because he returned to racing for the first time since the June 2023 U.S. World Trials. We saw him race short course at the Florida Virginia dual meet. He went 134.9 negi split in a 200-yard freestyle and 45.9 in the 100-yard fly, which I like. It's like, oh, that doesn't seem that fast, but then you think about how he's in a Speedo and it's October, and you're like, oh, that is pretty fast. But I want your thoughts on what this says about where Dressel is in his prep for the 2024 U.S. Olympic trials. Yin, go.
I mean, I don't really see why people are making a big deal out of this. I saw the swims on Meet Mobile, and I was like, okay, good for him. I mean, they're solid swims for October, unsuited, all those variables. But it doesn't really say anything about where he's going to be in the long run, because ultimately, if he's going to make the Olympic team, he can't be swimming the equivalent of a 134.9 in yards or 45.9 in yards. But they're great for where he's at right now, but we'll have to see how he performs in bigger meets. This is just the sort of thing that he dropped to excite fans, and people are now going to analyze it. That's all I have to say.
This is all a PR statement.
Yeah, PR.
That's the only reason he did a negative split. It was just to make people talk about it. I think it's pretty dope, honestly. I mean, I don't know how it compares to how he swam this summer, but it looks like he's having fun, and I think that being able to negative split at 134 turn free is not the easiest feat on the planet. And I've been saying this whole time that I think he's gonna be great next summer, even with child.
Even with child, Phelps did it. Dressel can do it too. Yeah, I mean, I think this is certainly a good sign, right? I think he seems like Jack said, he's having fun. I think Yin, I agree. It doesn't tell us a ton, but it's like for an October benchmark of getting back into it, especially he said in an interview that's going to be out soon that he lost a lot of his power, right? He had no power at trials, and he's been working on that. He got right back in the weight room after trials. The Monday after trials ended, he was back in the weight room. So he's been building a lot of strength and power. And I think we saw that. You see that a lot easier in short course. And it's like to go a 45.9 in the 100 fly in a Speedo, like that's you gotta have some power to do that. And he made it look so easy. So I like what I see from Daddy Dressel.
Not Daddy Dressel.
It's going to be his new name after he beats David Popovich. Just kidding. Maybe. I guess we'll see.
I feel like that's already his nickname. People call him that. I see it all the time in the
moment. At the same meet, we saw two 500 frees that I think were fairly significant at that Florida Virginia duel. Emma Weyant dropped a 439.2 in the 500 freestyle. That is absolutely her best in season time. That's pretty close to her best overall time from last season. This is her second season now at Florida. We also saw Katie Ledecky, who I don't really need to tell you who that is, go a 4:43 while she was technically it's a U.S. time trial. We would call it exhibition, but it's not technically an exhibition. The people got mad at me for saying that. They're like, not an exhibition, time trial. So Katie Ledecky went at 4:43, which I thought was a little surprising. Then we also saw on the other side of the country, Claire Tuggle go 4:39.1 in the 500 free. She's gone, Jack said, 5 best times in 2 meets. She's been at USC. I want your take. What do you think is the most significant of those 3 500-yard freestyles?
I think Emma Weyant's performance in the 500 and just her performances in general really popped to me because I've never seen her this fast at an in-season meet. She's not someone that swims super slowly in season, but she's never been super fast either. And obviously, if 4:39 is insane, 4:07 400 IM, I thought that was her most impressive swim of the day, and 1:45 200 free. And there's a lot of debate right now, I saw in the comments, over whether Weyant's actually improving at Florida, because you don't see a lot of people transfer away from the top program in the country. So it's like, is she improving or not? I personally think last year was good for her, but it wasn't great. Like she didn't hit a best time in the 500. She didn't improve a whole lot in the 4 IM. Maybe she did, but I think people were expecting more out of her last year, and her swim at trials is like, we didn't get to see her potential there as well. And I think her performing this well at the first meet of the year is a really, really good sign for her, and hopefully we can see her carry that momentum into the end of the year. But this is definitely a really positive start.
I'm gonna go Claire Tuggle. I was there in person cheering on the great UCSD Trident. Now she looked awesome. Like Coleman said, 5 best times in first 2 meets, which I don't care how anyone does in a season or in a bulk of seasons. I think if you go 5 best times when you're at that level by October 18th or whatever, 15th, whatever day it was, I think that's pretty sweet. But she looked really good. Her teammate, last time we talked about USC being pretty good this year, and her teammate Mina was right behind her. So both of them going what did she go? 4:41. Both of them being that fast and that far ahead of everybody else, even I just think is awesome. So yeah.
Especially since
USC
Go ahead.
USC definitely performs very fast at these 2 meets every year, at least last year at the USC Invite and the SMU Classic. But this year they're even faster than they were a year before, which I think should give them a lot of hype headed into mid-seasons, NCs. And you're seeing a lot of new faces show up, like Mina Abraham, and they had another sprint freestyler, forgot her. Vasilisa Brun, I don't know how to say her name, but she's from Russia, and she went 47.5 and 22.0 in sprint free, which is really good.
What?
I don't think USC has had a sprint freestyler of that caliber in a long time, and just they have this international freshman class that USC has, the Chmielewski brothers on the men's side. It's just been crazy.
That mile was beautiful.
14:41. My God.
He was slowly descending, 26.9, 26.7, 26.6. It was beautiful. Great swim.
Wow.
It was also
bring
like
you to your
100
knees
degrees.
as a former distance swimmer? Were you just like, this is beautiful?
It brought a
Amazing
tear to your eye.
getting to watch the mile and not swim it. It was a lot of fun. But it was like 100 degrees on that deck. It was very hot, and the pool, they were saying, is not cooled down too much. So that gives another edge to how fast they swim.
That's really interesting. Huh. So super hot, and they still swam lights out. Good for them. But I think you're both wrong. I think the fact that 2 women beat Katie Ledecky in a 500-yard freestyle on the same day, not in the same race, I'll give it to you, but on the same day, we've never seen that happen before. I don't think this is like, oh my God, what's happening to Katie Ledecky? But I do think it's interesting that this is her third year at Florida now. Did an interview with her while I was there. That's coming soon. And she says, she's feeling really comfortable with where she's at. She also said she had a super hard training week the week prior to when I was there. We've got some cool training footage of her and Bobby Fink duking it out once again, which will be coming soon. But I just thought that was interesting because we've always seen Katie Ledecky go really fast in season times. And so I am curious as to what this means about her end of the season, but also just her progressing through this Olympic season. It's like the Olympic year, you want to be at your best, right? You want to be building, and trending upward. And I mean, she has a lot of room to trend upward from that, I think, because her swims were not particularly fast for her. But I'm a little interested in if she's just really tired and if they're just trying to get a big chunk of work in before kind of slowly whittling it down leading into trials. But that kind of popped. That made me stand back because I don't think we've ever seen Katie Ledecky swim in season like that before.
I mean, I think she's sort of adjusting to the Florida training style because when we saw the majority of her super fast in season swims, it was when she was at Stanford and back when she was a club swimmer. And especially in her Stanford years, we saw a lot of those in season swims not be able to transfer over in the big taper meets. But while she's at Florida, while she's swimming slower in season, she's going faster at those big championship meets, especially in the distance events. I remember last March 2022, she went 8:21 in the 800 at the Westmont Pro Series in March, and people were talking about how that was really slow for her. But then the meet after that, she went 8:09 at trials, which is like was her fastest time since 2018. So I think it's definitely just adjusting to the new training style. And I know she's been at Florida for 2 years now, but it does take time. And I do think we're going to see less of Katie Ledecky swimming fast, especially in longer distance events. In the 200, even the 400 long course, she's swimming maybe fast times all around. But in the 800, 1500, I definitely think we're going to see less of that.
And I also think this is a bit of uncharted territory, not only because she's still adjusting to Florida training, but because we don't usually see a female swimmer swimming this late into their career doing distance events and being as good as she is, right? I mean, we've seen her entire career just be really, really good. And so for her to kind of fall off from that a bit is unusual, but Yin and I agree. I think this is probably fine, but it did freak me out a little bit because I'm like, what's going on with Katie Ledecky? But thanks for bringing me down. I also think Emma is kind of had that growing pains year last year. She said that was the smoothest prelims 400 IM at trials she had ever swum, and I think we would have seen a great one from her that night had she not been DQ'd. So I feel like she kind of has a chip on her shoulder this season. She really wants to prove that, she's in a good spot. And I think we'll see that moving forward from her as well. All right, let's go to World Cup. The second stop in the World Cup series was in Athens this past weekend. We did top 3 swims of the meet for the last stop. Give me your top 3 swims from this meet. I think they might be similar again, but let's hear them. Yin, we can start with you.
I mean, just same as last week, the theme of these World Cups for the top swimmers has been consistency. And you've been seeing that with Kaylee McEwen every single week throughout this entire year. She nearly breaks a world record in the 50 back. 27:02, that's like 400s off the world record. 57.6 in the 100 back I saw a comment saying she makes the best in the world look like age groupers, and she was next to Ingrid Will, Kylie Moss, both 2 phenomenal backstrokers, and she beat them by over a second. And this is probably her 10th, maybe more, 57.100 back swim in this year. And just to think about how only three, again, I brought this up last week, but to think about how only three women in history have done that, and she's doing this on a weekly basis and getting close to her world record, that's honestly so impressive to me. And same with Zhang Yufei and her 56.0 100 fly. She's also been so incredibly consistent both individually and on relays this year. And she went 55 at the Asian Games, 56.1 at World Championships, 56.0 at the World Cup. And just the consistency from her has been so incredible this year, especially when no one else is really hitting that 56 low 55 barrier. And she's just sort of showing that she sort of owns the event at this moment. And I'm excited for where she's going to be at in Paris.
Yeah, Sarah Sorstrom was saying that she felt that 100 fly final was like an Olympic final. And so that just shows how even more impressive it is that, you had, I think it was the top 3 were all medalists at the Worlds or Tokyo. I forget which one it was. But that was impressive. I think Kaylee's 200 back was 206.0 doesn't sound as impressive compared to, being a 10th or 2 off the world record 50 back. But, the longer early in the season, the longer the race gets, I think the closer you are to best times is more impressive than being able to sprint to 50. So those were mine. Some honorable mentions. I think that Matt Sates still getting into 2 wins after apparently fracturing his wrist, which is maybe a questionable decision going into an Olympic year. I think it's still pretty impressive. And I've always been a Cody Simpson fan, and seeing him still get under 52 now, which, he's been quick for a while, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, that was an impressive swim. I think that was his first time under 52 all year.
I wanted to point out that race period because you had Matt Sates 51.8, Michael Andrew and Cody Simpson tie 51.92, Ben Armbuster 51.99, Chad Leclos 52.2, Trenton Julian 52.2, like 6 guys at 52.2 or better. And they're all within 0.4 of each other, like super tight race. And to see that kind of competition this early in the season is just very exciting, I think, for swim fans all around.
Ooh, Cody Simpson broke 49 in the 100 free as well. He went 48.9.
Cody Simpson makes the Olympics next year, sink or swim, quick.
I'll swim it.
I think I'm gonna swim it because I don't think Kyle's gonna swim the 100 fly, and I don't see. I guess Sean Champion also went under 52, so it's gonna be between Simpson, Champion, and Temple.
It's his third. It's at least his third season, like swimming and doing his program with Michael Bohl. I think.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
That quick, and we're saying he might make the Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, but Ben Armbuster also went under 52, so this race is more competitive than I thought. Whoops.
But it also looks like now that he has a shot in the 400 free relay.
Yeah.
Which is where I think he should be focusing 100 free, 100 fly. Right. I think those are like 2 really good shots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll swim it. I'll give him a 6th place in the 100 free. Assuming they take 6 people. I don't know. But I think that'd be fun. My top list was more of just highlighting some swims that it's like McEwen and Zhang Yufei are like going nuts. Men's 400 IM, Kaito Tabuchi is my favorite name at the World Cup. But tagging Matt Sates on the last 50 of that 400 IM, like running him down and beating him by 8/100ths. They both went 4:13.3, but I love to see new guys come up and it's like, okay, Kaito, we see you. Siobhan Howie almost beating Ruta Meliutite in the 50 breast. Siobhan Howie going 30.3 is like so impressive to me. In the same session that she went 52.5 in the 100 free. She went 30.3 in the 50 breast. She just obliterated Sarah Sjostrom, Bronte Campbell, and Kate Campbell in the 100 free, and then almost beats Ruta in the 50 breast. It's like, dude, she's so good. Those were my favorite swims.
Mixing it up. I like it.
You know,
something different.
I don't want to talk about the same. You guys got Kaylee
Yeah.
McEwen covered.
Yeah.
Next time we'll pick it based solely on the coolest names finishing in the
Coolest
highest.
names.
Yes, exactly.
Kaito Tabuchi, I already called it.
Yep.
All right. And we've got World Cup Budapest coming up this weekend.
Duna Arena.
Christoph Milak will not be there, in case you missed that one.
Okay, not gonna lie, why did I expect that? Like, I kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to him. Hoping he gets on his bandwagon soon, but not gonna see him in action this weekend.
Ooh.
All right. We've also got Pan American Games coming up this weekend. Let's talk about that. Should we even care about this meet? It's a high-level meet, but it does only allow certain countries. It's the Pan American countries, which is Canada, US, and South America, essentially. B, if we should care about this meet, what should we care about? And what swims are you looking forward to from Santiago, Chile?
I mean, I know Canada's sending some of their ace swimmers. At least Maggie McNeil's going. I think she's gonna be the biggest name that's there. But I'm most curious to see how some of these American swimmers do because a lot of them are people who were really, really close to making that World Championships team. I'm thinking about Noah Nichols, Jack Aikens, Paige Madden. I'm literally just listing UVA swimmers, but Kennedy Noble, Dakota Luther, who went a time that would have made the World Championships team. She did it at the pro series, not the pro championships this summer. So there's just a lot of Americans who are capable of making the Olympic team next year, and they're swimming at this meet in this international meet right now. And I think if there's going to be a few of them that throw down times that would have made the World Championships team, or could throw them in contention in the conversation for the Paris team next year, that would be really interesting. And I think there's a lot of swimmers who are in that category, and also there's a lot of former Olympians who struggled this year but could find a way back up next year, like Brooks Curry. I'm thinking about that. Jake Foster, David Curtis is going to be swimming for the first time this fall. I think he left NC State to train with TAC. We'll get a first look at him. And there's Kobe Carosa. There's just a lot of interesting American names at this meet.
I'm just excited to see, main one, Brooks Curry for me. I think he's only doing a relay. But him being, I think, one of the only two past Olympians with Maggie, maybe. I thought I saw that somewhere.
Jay Litherland.
Jay's there too. I know that he was a little bit disappointed after his swim at nationals. So seeing bounce backs from both of them would be pretty cool.
Swam really well. It's just that the field.
That's what I thought, but I don't know, his words. He was just like, I thought I was going to go a little bit faster, but I think it was 4:11, 4:10, 4:11 is not bad at a national meet without much competition. But I'm looking forward to watching both of them.
Yeah, I think when you see everyone in the world go sub 4:10, 4:11 is a good time, but you kind of want a little more there, especially if one of them's your training partner, or two of them are your training partner.
He went 4:10, not 4:11, but
yeah. I think there's a lot of interesting storylines from the American front. I think Paige Madden, who just moved from Loughborough to ASU, I will be interested to see how she's swimming. Katie Ledecky, who also trains at Loughborough now, both prior Olympians in 21, and then have both kind of been quiet the last couple of years. I'll be interested to see what they can do. It's always nice seeing kind of rising talent from the college and high school ranks. On the women's side, there's a lot of college talent that, like you guys said, had a great trials, and we'll see what they can do. On the men's side, dude, Zane Grothy is still doing it. He's swimming the 200 free individually at this meet, which I think is awesome. But we'll see what he's got. Again, not a former Olympian, but at one point was the guy for US distance swimming.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, we've also got Jay and Brooks, who are Olympians from the last cycle. And I think it'll be an okay meet. I think it's always this meet is always a pretty good indicator of who might have a really good shot at making that Olympic team. I think the one that sticks out to me in the past was in 2015, like Natalie Coughlin went 59.0 leading off the 400 medley relay in the 100 back. And that time would have made the Olympic team the next year. She was not able to repeat that at trials, but we usually see some really fast swims at this meet from Americans that it's like, that could make the Olympic team. Or, it's like, oh, that immediately puts them in the conversation. So I'm excited to see who among our team kind of breaks out and has swims like that. Speaking of college, because we weren't, a conversation we have been having a lot on this show and in many, many comment sections is there's higher attendance dual meets this fall. Dual meets are cool again. I don't know if they were ever cool, but they're cool now. Exactly. They're cool now. We've seen the UNCW Tennessee Fens meet. We saw the second edition of Battle of the Burr with Georgetown and Howard. We've got UVA and Texas coming up with a crazy lineup that I think they're going to be previewing soon. How do you feel like not only more engaging dual meet formats, but higher attendance at these dual meets is changing the landscape of college swimming in terms of in-season mattering, right? I mean, you used to not even tune into college swimming until mid-season. And now SwimSwam's humping and bumping every week because we've got a lot of dual meet times that really matter.
I mean, not just within the realm of college, the NCAA season specifically, but when you think about this from a recruiting perspective, I don't think attendance is going to be like one of the main factors that as to why someone chooses school. But imagine if a top recruit is choosing between two similar level programs, one gets creative and has packed dual meets, and the other one has dual meets at 11 a.m. in front of empty stands. Which program is the recruit gonna choose? And I bet they're gonna choose that first program all day, every day. And I don't think people realize how much having a packed atmosphere can affect your performance. And it definitely makes people look forward to competing more and be more motivated at these dual meets rather than just treating dual meets as something that doesn't matter. And it also makes athletic programs see the value of swimming and not just as something that's a money burner, which we talked about. And my main takeaway from this is just don't be afraid to get creative. Don't limit yourself by saying swimming is inherently boring. Try new things out, and it doesn't hurt. Because I'm thinking, I bring this up a lot, about Nebraska women's volleyball filling up a football stadium. Last weekend, Iowa women's basketball set an attendance record in Kinnick Stadium. They had 50,000 people fill up their football stadium for a basketball game, and I saw the photos. It was so cool. But just stuff like that, obviously we're not at that level yet, but just stuff like that brings more eyes to swimming, makes people care, makes the swimmers more engaged. And it's just, again, don't be afraid to be creative.
I mean, I just, as a former dual meet swimmer, at UCSD we had like one meet a year that like a lot of people would show up to, and it does make a huge difference. That's why it's, I'd say, a pretty decent reason why meets like trials are faster. It's because when people show up and they're cheering, the atmosphere is different, and it adds to the pressure, which can be usually a good thing, and make people swim fast rather than just feeling like a practice that you're getting up with and racing your teammates in. But then for athletic departments, like we've seen a lot get cut or suspended, a lot of different things happening to them in recent years. And, if every single dual meet you're doing is getting whatever, hundreds to 1,000 students from the school every week, then it's a bigger case to the athletic department of why not to cut this team, whether it makes money or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're putting butts in seats, even if it's free butts in seats, like that's a good thing, right? People are coming to your university, to your property to watch your sports teams. Like you're going to make money from that somehow. Or you're going to profit from that somehow, I guess is the better way to say it.
Exactly. And even if you're only selling tickets, let's say you have 4 home dual meets in a season, you sell tickets for $5, 1,000 people show up to every dual meet. You're making $20,000 from ticket money alone. And that might not cause your program to generate a profit, but it's definitely filling in a huge dent. Yeah, it's something.
And people will certainly, I think, especially at the very top, recruits are gonna, well, maybe not even at the top, at like the mid-major level, when there's a lot of schools that are very similar, especially in the same region. If you go on a trip and there's a meet where there's 1,000 people cheering versus another one that's just kind of a swim meet you sit at, that makes a big difference.
That's a great point. I mean, it's like if you could not only make a swim meet something where fans want to come to, but where other sports or like other recruits, it's like, think about if, swimmers always come in for recruiting weekends and then we're like, okay, you're going to go to a football game. Like think if you were a tennis athlete or a lacrosse athlete or whatever, and people were like, we're going to go to a swim meet because our swim meets have 1,000 people at them and it's really fun. Like how cool would that be? And then, again, playing with the formats, especially in the fall, right? Where people want to go see sports and and the weather is nice enough to where they want to be outside and doing things. It's like, if you can have fun events that only last a couple hours, then it's like I think we've all been to that 4-hour dual meet that you're just like, oh my God, when is this going to be over?
Wasn't that UVA, Florida? Braden was complaining about having to cover me for 4 hours.
I'm not saying what. I'm just saying every swimmer's been at that dual meet. And not every dual meet has the luxury of having Olympians on the team and swimming time trials in between events to keep it exciting.
When are they going to start doing that for club meets? Because club meets are where it's really at, where you're there for 12 hours.
Club
6 a.m., 6 p.m., prelims, final.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. But yeah, I think hopefully if this happens with college dual meets, we might see this trickle down. I was just at a club meet in New Jersey. I talked with Union about this, where they have a meet. They're like first meet of the season. Everyone swims a 50 of each stroke and 100 IM. And I think a lot of teams do things like that, but like it's something that kids look forward to and get excited about and actually care about. And like there's cheering and there's energy because it's like, it's easy, it's not 10 heats of 500 freestyle.
So I didn't think about? Money from concession stands. That's another thing, not just ticket money.
I mean, make the dual meet free, sell concessions. It's like you're probably doing okay.
Sell team gear, have
team
like t-shirts
gear. Dude, everyone loves t-shirts. Or you sell tickets and say we're giving out free t-shirts. That sells.
Yes. Everyone, especially college students, they love free gear.
I think the Texas UVA dual meet last year in Austin, I think they had a t-shirt gun. Every dual meet needs a t-shirt gun. Every dual meet needs a t-shirt gun. End of story.
People run out and who wants one?
And you're just like, you get a t-shirt. You get a t-shirt.
Fun fact, I'm actually wearing a free sweater that I got from a volleyball game right now. So, the impact of free stuff. Yeah.
There it is.
Everyone loves free stuff. Moral of today's breakdown. All right. That's our main news for the day. Let's end this segment with some sink or swims. First up today on Sink or Swim, will there be close to 800 swimmers at the U.S. Open in December? The U.S. Open capped out at 800 swimmers within 3 hours of registration opening. Last year, we reported there was less than 550 athletes actually at the meet. We've got some less than thrilled feedback about the meet selling out so quickly, which, I hope it does fill up. I hope there are 800 people there and everyone was just really excited to swim at this meet because it's the Olympic year. It's long course. Everyone wants to swim with the Olympians, yada, yada, yada. Great experience for club people. But do you think there's actually going to be 800 swimmers at this meet in Greensboro come December?
I'm going to swim it because this is the long course meet of the fall. And in an Olympic year, every swimmer, at least most of the swimmers entered in Olympic trials, will try to enter this meet to get that long course racing experience. And when you think about how there aren't many other super big meets going on that will take up swimmers' times, like short course worlds, and most mid-season invites will be done by then. And I think people will really want to take this opportunity to get their long course racing in with ample competition before the big meet of June, whereas in other years, the big long course meet didn't matter as much as, well, it still mattered, but it doesn't matter as much as it will next summer. So I think there will be at least close to 800 people.
I'm going to swim it too. Even last year, though, I'm surprised that there was only 550 because that deck was crowded. It's not the biggest. Greensboro doesn't have the largest deck. And I remember like having to squeeze through people trying to go to the other side of the pool. But I think, I don't see a reason why people would sign up and not go this close to the Olympics. I think it is. I understand all the disappointment. Like, there's a lot of people. I'm sure every college program and everybody that is close to or has trial scouts wanted to go. So that's a bummer. But I don't think you can really let more than 800 in on that pool deck.
Which is fair. And I'm sure USA Swimming wants to keep it a relatively small meet because they do want to prioritize their top athletes. And I'm assuming a lot of college programs are the ones that kind of had that priority. And so are the ones that are like, oh, we're taking the whole team or something like that. And that's why I'm going to sink it, is because I think a lot of teams probably signed up and then we'll see some athletes be like, oh, no, I don't actually want to go, or it's week after Thanksgiving. And I don't really have a lot of faith in USA Swimming at this point in time. And I just think it's going to be another frustrating situation where it sells out and then we get there and there's going to be 500 athletes instead of 800. And maybe that's just kind of been the trend of a lot of like the pro swimmy type meets in the last few years. Like they kind of want less athletes there, and it does suck for a lot of the other people who will have to find another meet to go to long course if they want to get in some LCM racing at the end of the season. But I don't think 800. I would be shocked if even close to 800, if over 700 athletes show up in Greensboro.
I mean, another big factor that wasn't there in previous years is the fact that you can qualify for NCAAs through long course swims from the US Open. So that's a motivating factor. So you don't have to worry about getting your cuts in mid-seasons or at a January last chance meet. So that definitely helps.
How would you fix that problem if, let's say, 200 of those swimmers decide not to go? Do you think there's a way USA Swimming can like do a last minute entry or something? Or a lot of people are saying they just need to make the cuts faster so it doesn't fill up so quick. What do you think is a better route?
Yeah. I mean, it's like you already have junior nationals. Honestly, like I think it's a great experience for kids to go to, for like high school swimmers to go to, but it's like go to junior nationals or like go to a pro swim. Like do you really need to be racing in December racing long course in December? Like I know it's the Olympic year, but like, is one more meet going to really make the difference? It is a great experience. I'm all for people going and swimming with the top of the top swimmers, but like, I don't think this meet is the end all be all for that. Especially this year when you have Knoxville, Westmont and San Antonio that are all slower cuts, and you can swim next to people who are just as fast.
What is harder to get, a US Open spot or Taylor Swift tickets?
Lol. Well,
Taylor Swift sells out in like seconds, and theirs was 3 hours. So
there's less US Open spots though.
Yeah.
There's like hundreds of thousands of Taylor Swift tickets, right? Probably millions, I assume.
Costs a lot more.
Costs a lot more. Which one would you rather go to? Probably Taylor Swift concert. I don't even like Taylor Swift, but probably Taylor Swift concert.
I go to the US Open. I'm not a Swiftie. I'd rather see high level swimming.
Dang. Good for you, Yin Yin.
You were paid to say that.
Brought to you by the Eras Tour. All right. Next up on Sink or Swim, it was announced that multiple top swimmers on the Stanford men's team are redshirting at least this fall semester. That includes Andrei Minikov, Ron Polanski, and Zaire Fawn. Do you think, Sink or Swim, the Stanford men will crack the top 15 at NCAAs this year?
I am going to swim it only if Minikov comes back for NCAAs, because it took 78 points to finish 15th at NCs, and having a multi-A finalist swimmer like Minikov, who can probably score like 40 or so points and be a big boost on relays, can make up the majority of that 78 points. And I think other swimmers like Jack Ryan, who finished third in one of the diving event. Oh, I said swimmers, but swimmers and divers, can finish and get double-digit points. And they have a really good freshman class. I'm a little skeptical of how much they'll develop in their freshman year, given the history of Stanford swimmers not improving that much. I think a few of them can scrape by and get a few B final relay points, but Minikov is going to be carrying most of the weight, and I don't think they finish top 15 without him.
I'm going to sink it, and I think he's not going to come back. I think Olympic year, I think he's going to choose to just wait it out, especially when there's questions of if they'll even finish in the top 15. And just the level that men's NCAAs is, I think that, without him, I think that scoring 80 plus points is going to be pretty hard, especially with relays. I think they lost a lot of their relay points from last year, just with all the guys that are redshirting or graduated. So I'm going to sink that.
Yeah, so I didn't. The article was interesting. So it was Leon McAllister and one of the other senior, Johnny Afeld, were both, seniors, and they graduated with their degrees. And so they didn't like leave so much as like choose not to take their fifth year, which I feel like at Stanford, that's a very reasonable choice if you have a Stanford degree. And, it's like I'm good on swimming. I'm going to swim it. I'll just swim it, period. So I didn't realize when I wrote this question, I didn't realize it only took 78 points to get 15th, which is no small feat at NCAAs, but I think they can scrape by they have good divers. They have great freshmen, and I'm confident that Ron Polanski and or Zaire Fawn are just choosing to take lighter class loads or not do school this fall, but will be back for the spring. I don't think Minikov will be, but I think if they come back, they would add enough depth to scrape by a 15th place. So that's what I'm going with. All right. I forgot I wrote this question. Last up on Sink or Swim. This is not a sink or a swim, but just a throwing darts at the board randomly. We saw Summer McIntosh go 357 in the 400-yard IM because she is a wunderkind and crazy good swimmer in any format. So we all know that she is not eligible to go to swim in college on the NCAA level. But if she were, where do you think she would go, and or where do you think would be the best fit for her college program wise?
Best fit, probably the obvious answers like a Florida, or an Arizona State. But it would be fun to see her at a Big Ten school, stay close to home near Canada, maybe Indiana or
I was like, dude, she lives in
Wisconsin.
Florida. What do you mean close to home? But sorry, yeah,
Well,
I got it. I got you.
Canada.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Maybe Michigan, joining her Canadian teammate Abby Dunford.
All right, what's your final answer?
Yeah, pick one. Come on.
Oh, come on. I'm gonna say Michigan just for funsies. You know, Matt Bowie.
Matt Bowie era.
Train.
I'm gonna go
Charlie
Cal.
Swanson's there. Okay, yeah.
Period. I don't have much to. I don't know. They're getting a lot of high caliber people lately, and it's not too sunny up there, but it's like good weather still. I don't think she's going to go to Michigan when she's living in Florida. It's a little bit of a opposite.
I mean,
weather.
Abby Dunford
she
swims at Sarasota, and she's going to Michigan. So
not the
also,
same.
Abby's also Canadian, right?
Yeah, they're yeah.
Okay,
that's fair. Canada is also cold, but I'm going to go Cal. Final answer.
Final answer, Cal. Wow. So
you're
many
not allowed
picks.
to say Florida or Virginia.
What? Why not?
It's too obvious.
It's boring.
It's too obvious.
Boring.
All right. I'm going to tell you where Summer McIntosh would go. Stanford.
There you go.
And relay names guy explodes.
She would go to Stanford to get a crazy good degree and go best times in yards because lots of people go to Stanford and do that. And I'm sticking to it. But we'll never know because she's not going to be in the NCAA anyway. I wonder if she will go to college, though.
Yeah.
Who's to
I think
say?
she would. I mean, a lot of the top swimmers still go to college, like David Popovich.
He's in college. It's true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see. But she won't swim with any of those teams, so boo-hoo. Anyway, that's the SwimSwam Breakdown. Thanks for tuning in today. And make sure to stay tuned to SwimSwam for some very exciting news coming soon. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with college commitments.